All right. Hello to anyone who's watching this video. You're watching a game that was arranged through the Gauntlet, which is a community on the internet that gets together and plays tabletop role-playing games online, mostly the indie persuasion. It's all really rad stuff. This game is arranged as part of the Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend, where basically it's like a virtual mini con where it's like arrange a bunch of games and invite folks who normally don't play with the Gauntlet or aren't part of the Gauntlet community to come check out all the cool stuff that we do here in the Gauntlet. There's a lot of stuff you can find, like everything the Gauntlet does through gauntlet-rpg.com. There'll be a link down below in the video description. There's all sorts of cool stuff there involving, indie tabletop role-playing games. Like there's blogs, there's forums, there's the zine that the Gauntlet puts out named Codex, which usually contains, supplements to existing games and original games in itself. There is the Gauntlet calendar where, at the very least, that's where kind of like the meat of where the community plays at. 100 plus games come up there every month. Really cool stuff like Power Bit Apocalypse games, OSR games, indie games, GMless games, all that. The fun of interacting with people through the medium of pretending to be other people, which is it's Tales all this time. So check out all that. There's lots of cool stuff. I should also mention there's also the Gauntlet podcast network, which is fab. Contains there's different podcasts under its umbrella. Discussion podcasts about what we've been playing in the Gauntlet. Also, there's Fear of the Black Dragon, which looks at dungeon modules. There's Plus One Forward, which is a podcast powered by the apocalypse. Or maybe someone here can say more about that. I don't know. Who knows? But that's all the cool stuff the Gauntlet does. Check out gauntlet-rpg.com. What this video is about, in case you didn't, in case you're just listening to this on the podcast feed or on YouTube, is that this game is a one-shot of Apocalypse Keys, which is a powered by the Apocalypse game by Jamila Najadi of Sword Queen Games. You might remember them from such games such as Balik Bayan, Oathbreakers, and this game, Apocalypse Keys. Just like the quick pitch before we get into the cats, Apocalypse Keys is a powered by Apocalypse game about monsters working for the strange, mysterious agency known as the Division, trying to hold back the apocalypse, solving mysteries while trying to reach out to each other because all of you are tempted by the dark, but all you have are each other. So as typical of a jammy game, it's about feelings. Before we jump into it, let's kind of like introduce ourselves to each other, this table, because there's some folks I played with here before. There's some folks I'm playing for the first time. So let's all introduce each other. I'm just gonna call people out because if I remember correctly, Zoom format different for everyone. So I should introduce myself. Hi, my name is Leandro, use he, him pronouns. And yeah, I don't know what to look forward to today other than fun. Yeah, that's a good baseline to look forward for in a role-playing game. Fun, feelings. Yeah, I don't have anything to plug. I'm just a fan of games, I guess. Yeah. Oh, if you don't have anything to plug, don't feel free to not plug anything. Just I do just want to know like what you're looking forward to in this game. So I'm gonna go, in my view, clockwise, which starts with Rich. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and I'm one of the co-hosts of the aforementioned Plus One Forward podcast, which I'm very excited because in 10-ish, 12, so in some amount of hours that if you're listening to the podcast feed is already passed, we have a live episode that we're recording as part of this Gauntlet weekend. I'm quite stoked. I've been working hard on trying to answer some of the very, very difficult questions that have already been fed to us. In one of them, in which is like, make a new game. And I'm like, don't make games. I just gab about them, which is what I do on Plus One Forward. That's that's me. Yeah, I run some games for the Gauntlet as well. Really excited to be here and try out Apocalypse Keys, which I literally jumped in and backed the Patreon so that I could get access to it, and now I get to try it.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to that show, to that live show, in some determinate time today. We know it's today, so it'll be great. Oh, anyone who's watching this in the future, you can just check out +1 forward. It's probably going to be there. Up next, Patrick, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Patrick Ehem. I mostly play with Gauntlet. You can see me on various fun games and videos. Recently, you can check out Lowell's Free from the Yoke Rokugan to see the never-ending tragedy of my downfall. I'm looking forward to Apocalypse Keys. I've played a couple of sessions of it before, so I'm looking forward to seeing, like, every person brings their own feel to it. And your pitch, Leandro, like, I loved the, like, over-the-top pop art absurdity sort of feel of it. So I'm looking forward to see what sort of game we get out of this one.
Oh yeah. That pitch is the result of what happens when you try to listen to David Bowie's entire discography in 5 days. You just mainline all that, and I'm like, oh, pop art music.
Amazing.
So we'll see what happens today. Next, David, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, my name is David. I use he, him pronouns. I play and run games here in the Gauntlet. I think this is my third Gauntlet Con now. Very much looking forward to it. This is my first game of the con. Big fan of Jamie's work. I've played a few of their other games. They've all been really good. Looking forward to getting a chance to play about with this one and to play with all of you. So yeah.
Hell yeah. And last but not the least, Mario, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mario. I also use he, him pronouns, and I think fun as a premise sounds really good to me. I also read a few Hellboy comics, so I'm excited to play Apocalypse Keys with you guys.
Back time to start drinking coffee. Hi, cool. No worries. Cool. So before we jump into the game proper, because we all know kind of like the pitch of Apocalypse Keys, let's go over the safety tools that we're using first. First and foremost, I do want to direct folks to the safety / dice tab in our character keeper. Some folks already added stuff there. That's where we have our lines and veils. That's also where the dice room is, which I'll also put a link in the chat. For those who don't know, who's watching or listening to this, lines are basically ideas or concepts or things that won't be crossed, just won't show up in the fiction off the table. Veils are things that can happen in fiction, but we're not going to concentrate on it. It happens off screen, or we fade to black, or gets a sentence or two. We acknowledge that it happens, but there's no need to linger on it. There are some stuff that are ask first, which basically, if we're introducing them to the fiction, this extends to myself, we will make sure that we pull the table first. We'll say all right, here's what's going to happen, or here's what we're introducing, and we'll make sure that the table is comfortable with what we've got. The other tool that we're using is script change, which for those who don't know is basically a series of commands that kind of lets us help modulate or control the fiction. Think of it as settings on a remote, which I just have here. I don't know why. There's 3 commands specifically that we are going to concentrate on. First up is rewind. When you rewind, you back up to a specific point in the scene and do the scene over again, trying to avoid whatever issue led to the rewind and doing a different way. And it could be any issue. It could be a name, or something as innocuous as a name, or even the tone of the scene, or even just the general scene itself. You don't have to explain what your issue with it is. And I might ask some questions on what we're trying to avoid or trying to change. But if a rewind is called for, we'll respect that and we'll rewind, try something else. There's fast forward, which when you fast forward, you can fade to black. And advanced time is needed to avoid content or elements of play, or just to move forward in time. It's kind of part of the veils thing, where basically if something's happening, something's going to happen and they're like, we don't need to know more than like a sentence or two, or we can just like move on, we'll call for a fast forward and just move forward. And then there's pause, which you need, there's a variety of reasons why you could want to pause a game. Maybe there's an intense scene and you're like, all right, we kind of need to like slow down and pause and get our bearings. Or if you're seeking clarity or discussion about the game or content, like, okay, we were at a nightclub and then I blinked and like 5 minutes we're suddenly on this disembodied train riding down a sepulchral river of the dead. How did we get, okay, all right, can I, what's happening? So, and it's perfectly fine because there's quite a bit of cognitive load when it comes to playing tabletop role-playing games, and sometimes things get lost in transmission. It's perfectly fine to like ask for clarity, to like, oh, okay, what's happening here? Why are they doing that? That sort of thing. And also, of course, you can call for pause if you need to take a bio break. It's part of like the open door policy we have here in the Gauntlet, where basically if you need to step away from the table for any reason is perfectly fine. There could be an emergency you need to take care of, or maybe, oh, you're more tired than you thought and you need to like retire from the game, or you need to go take a bio break, bathroom break, any kind of break. You can call for a pause and accommodate yourselves. Also, that open door policy does extend to me as well as your GM. So I think that's like that covers the long and short of the safety discussion. Now I'm going to talk about basically the cats of Apocalypse Keys. They're rambunctious creatures. All right, I made the obvious joke. Okay, so the concept of Apocalypse Keys is like, the apocalypse is nigh, and to fight monsters, we must be monsters. Apocalypse Keys concerns a group of monsters who work for, I should shout out this acronym because Jamie's partner apparently worked really hard on it. You work for the Department of Interdimensional Vigilance and International Security Interdisciplinary Operations Network, or Division. So that's what you are. There's kind of like, there's 4 key aspects of what you're doing here. Solving mysteries. That's kind of like the bulk of the game. There are mysteries and they need to be solved. If you played Brindlewood Bay, you kind of get the general concept. There's a question that needs to be answered. What are the harbingers trying to accomplish in this place? How can we hold back the apocalypse? You gotta use your powers, connections, and your understanding of monsters to solve each mystery. But don't go too far. That's the second aspect. You are quote unquote a monster, which means you're kind of like, off the beaten path in terms of humanity or whatnot. You could be like some creature, someone from another dimension. You can be some person who has got unimaginable power within them. You can be the last of your kind. You can be a fallen angel, which means that like your power is tied to something humans in the world can never understand, and there are ways for you to like go too far. And that's also in the mechanics, because this game takes its engine specifically from Liberté, which is like a Powered by Apocalypse game where getting more than 10 in a roll is going too far. So that'll be fun to see. You only have each other. That's the third key aspect. You're monsters fighting monsters. There are very few like you, so your relationships mean everything. You got bonds. Y'all care for each other. Maybe 10 sessions later, you'll find that you care for each other a lot less than you think. But that's a different story. With a story that can totally happen. But here from the start, you're fellow monsters, and that's a commonality between all of you. But we too may become harbingers of the apocalypse. You have something the darkness demands of you, and is tied to the terrible doom that awaits you. It may be prophecy, destiny, enemies more powerful than you, or simply the truth of your nature. So yeah, that's kind of like the concept for Apocalypse Keys. The aim for today is, I'm looking at this document, it says for the first session. We only have one session, I'm sorry. So the aim of today is like get you all create characters, get you stuck into a mystery, get you see like what it's like to play Apocalypse Keys. Like just we can try to hit the ground running and get into some nonsense. Great, just put you all in the world, see what happens. And the nice thing is that, like, y'all by default, you're all going to be weird. So there's going to be some nice friction there against the world. The tone of the game is mystery, horror, and a focus on investigation. You're kind of like prodding around and seeing trying to find answers. Often there will be a look at the emotional state of your characters and their relationships with each other and the darkness. There are moves, a lot of the moves focus on relationships, romance, or whatnot. So we don't have to get into romance again. It's a one shot. If you don't want to deal with that, that's perfectly fine. It can get dark, but because we're dealing with apocalyptical tones, horror, supernatural, and all that. But Apocalypse Keys, at its heart, is a sense of hope. You're all trying to reach for the light. We don't want to bring forth the apocalypse, because who would want to do that? There's some stuff that can be like dark and challenging in terms of subject matter. There's like a good list in the cats. It's also in the safety dice tab, the link to the cats document. But hopefully, we're at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun, as mentioned, as glib as I tried to make it sound at the start. But we're here to play together in a safe and comfortable environment, and hopefully we will succeed in that. Cool. Okay, so now that we have kind of a good idea of what the game is, now let's talk about characters. So let me find the link to the the playbooks. I put the link to the drive folder here, but I'm just put a direct link to the playbooks here. So there's quite a number. And I will say, because we're doing a one shot, usually it says to also like pick along with the starting move you get, also pick one move. I would say because it's a one shot, I'm going to give you 2 advances. Might as well, might as well, since you're not going to level up when you say that. We won't have time, so keep that in mind. So have a look through those playbooks. The things I want you to keep in mind is the main thing I would say is not just the cool moves, because there's a lot of cool moves. It's sickening how cool some of these moves are. The main thing I want you to look at is how each playbook gains darkness, because there's like several prompts here. Like for the pure, you gain darkness whenever you feel overwhelmed or numb, or give into my power to let it erase my will, or ask someone to use my power as they see fit. Those prompts are important because that's the way you get darkness tokens, and darkness tokens are like the main way you add +1s to your roll, because there's no stats. You just have darkness in you. So be sure to look at those prompts and see if they're ones you be able or really have fun playing into. And don't worry, there's a lot of tabs on this character keeper. Don't worry about it. Fun playbooks. Of course, if you have any questions about certain things, like what do some certain terms mean, or what does this mechanic, feel free to ask. But for a moment, I'll have you have a look at those playbooks, see what calls out to you.
I'm going to step away for like 3 minutes. Be right back.
No worries. So I was looking through some of the playbooks. There's some leftover notes from our playtest of this game. So if you go to the shade, when you hover over those bonds, you'll see the names of the characters I had bonds with using that playbook. That character's doing great. She's one advance away from retiring from the game and becoming a harbinger of the apocalypse. So it's a
Nice. You're like that close to winning.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'll notice that's the only way to retire is to become a harbinger of the apocalypse. There's really there's no other options for retirement. It's great.
I think on a quick glance through them, the ones that are most calling out to me at the minute are the pure, the shade, and the last. They're all quite fun. Well, I mean, they're all fun, but I think those are the three that are sort of at the head of the pack for me.
I don't know why I wasn't surprised the pure called out to you. I don't know why.
Those were the three that I started looking at as well. I sort of narrowed it down to the shade and the last.
All right, I love that the speech bubble, the boom is right over your head.
Probably also some prophecy.
Oh no, it could go out. It could go well. When I ran this for the Gauntlet, for a series, I swear in those 4 sessions we had 2 failed rolls. The dice room was exceedingly kind to the players. I've noticed whenever I run games, usually, especially if I run Forge in the Dark games, dice are incredibly kind to the players who are playing in games I've run. It's disgusting. Yeah, it's all good. Nothing's been chosen quite yet, Rich. There's something. Some folks are circling around certain playbooks, but I feel it's still white-ish. Mario, have you thought of has any one of them called out to you?
They all sound cool. The summoned or the found. The found, I think. Sounds interesting to me.
Yeah. I guess in terms of Hellboy characters, when Jamie and other folks were playing this, they were like, "Oh, the summoned is Hellboy."
Obviously, yeah. The other one's Abe, sure.
Yeah, and Abe, yeah, is the found.
David, what are you interested in?
I was thinking it may be the pure, the shade, or the last. Sorry, not last.
And I was looking at the shade and the lost as well.
Are you saying the last?
Or last, sorry.
Okay, just making sure.
Words. Vowels.
Okay, so what are you thinking, Rich?
Well, I'm changing what I was thinking because 2 people both had interest in it. So let me just look at something else. He's a one-shot, so maybe I'll go for the Fallen, which is a character I find repugnant and would never choose to in more than 1 session. But this is a one-shot, so maybe.
Well, folks had like different, multiple choices. We can compromise if you don't want to have to. You don't have to like go for the Fallen if you don't want to.
You know, what was the other one you were looking at?
Doesn't matter because I'm looking at other stuff.
Okay.
When two people both list the same 2 playbooks, one's going to get one, one's going to get the other. I do math. It's my job. So I'll just look at something else. It's all
Well, to
good.
be-
I'm not chapped about it at all.
To be fair, David listed 3 playbooks.
Yeah, and I think I am actually going to go for the pure. So,
I think I'm going to land on the shade. So there's more certainty.
I'll
for you to
slide
play
in
with.
on the last, which is the one that
There we go.
was perfect. Kismet.
I'll take the summon.
Cool. I'm gonna hide the.
The Fallen. Good call.
Yeah. Well, I would say the playbooks haven't been chosen. So that's the Fallen and the
And the
Found.
Found. No F words for us today.
Oh no, we're all gonna be pure PG-13. We have 1 F word. In us.
Gotta use it wisely.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So, I'll give you all some time to like to start thinking of and making characters. I would ask her because like I said, when you make a character, you get to choose 1 more move, and then I'll give you 2 advances. I just ask folks to like whatever move you choose, would you copy paste it from the moves tab to the main like character tab that you're using, just so it's all in one tab. Yeah, other than that, go right ahead. I need to start writing down some more names, but I'll leave you to it.
So 2 advances mean I can choose 2 damage moves from my sheet.
Yeah. Oh, there's like a list of advances under the XP. Basically, you can get 2 of those.
Got it.
I just want to say, I looked outside, and I have seen the first snow of the year.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Well, it's already that time.
Big flakes. I'm in Minnesota, so yes, it's that time of year. It was
Gosh.
36 yesterday. I didn't know it was 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Did not realize it was snow in time yet, but it is October.
Sorry, when you said that, I look out the window as if it actually snows here every now and then, more regularly than Minnesota. Which it doesn't.
Just so we're clear, this is 2 degrees Celsius right now.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know what the conversion was. It's like when you said 36, like I assume that's cold. I just assume. Not familiar with every move in this game, so every now and then I see like a thing, and I'm like, wait, you can do what? Wait, you can do that? Huh? Huh? Okay, all right, cool. Okay, you can do that. Yeah, how are folks doing? Should I say maybe 5 more minutes, or do people need more time?
I think I'm mostly there.
Yeah, same. Just onto looking for pictures now mostly.
A good old Pinterest troll.
Indeed.
Move, stats, other choices, doesn't matter. Picture a name. The hardest parts.
Well, yeah, because you're not going to be addressed by your moves or your stats. Oh, I should clarify because I've had to clarify this in a previous group. The character keeper, it doesn't say so, but in the playbooks, it does say that like when you create a character, you get your starting move and you choose one. So if you take the advance, take a new move from your playbook, you should have like 3 moves then. So you do get like 1 extra move when you at character creation.
Wait, how many total moves should we have then?
In character creation, at least 2. If so, you get your starting
move, right?
and then you choose 1.
And then we take advances.
Yes.
That could let us take more. Oh,
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, it doesn't say in the character keeper, but it says in the playbook.
And I'm sorry if you said this already, but these gray moves, the doomed moves.
Oh yeah, they're kind of like the equivalent of corruption moves in Urban Shadows. They're
Okay.
Yeah. I'm considering, because this is a one shot, maybe each of you can take a doomed move because they're kind of they're kind of saucy, but then again, some of them can be quite. Some of them don't really like fire off well in a one shot. Like there's a move that gives you a dark patron and enlists you in part of their apocalypse, that sort of thing. So yeah, doom moves, they're usually there. They usually come at a cost. Includes more doom, which that dog won't have to worry about. Hopefully, no doom comes to them, but no doom comes to Rich while you're with your dog for sure.
Aha! This is a darkness token.
But yeah, doom is basically. I was joking. I think while you were gone, Rich, I was talking about the character I'm playing in Jamie's playtest, who is like 1 advance away from retiring from the game and becoming a harbinger of the apocalypse. And that's the only way to retire, beyond just ending the game, is marking up doom. So basically, think of doom as like corruption, in that you mark stuff usually to maybe get some advantage or fall further into the darkness. You get stuff for it, like more moves, but at a cost. So no, they're not part of the choose one when you create a character, unfortunately. Okay. Let's see. Give me like 2 more minutes, and then if folks are okay, we can start introducing characters, and creating some bonds, and see where we go. So 2 more minutes then. If I'm making a face, I'm just reacting to some of these pics. They're a lot. Okay, folks are okay. Looks like we're all pretty much done. Let's start introducing these characters then, and then we'll create bonds, and then we'll take a break. But yeah, so first off, let's go left to right on the character keepers. So we will start with Mario, if that's okay with yourself. Cool. So why don't you introduce us to our summoned?
The summon I'm going to play is called Night Eye. It's a name somebody gave him, and he probably doesn't like it. Some people call him Nighty because Night Eye is a bit too long and strange, but Nighty is not that much better, I think. Um, I changed the your look thing from gold or from whatever it was to Eyes of the Darkest Night. So his eyes are black and you can look into them in some kind of sphere of darkness. He is, I haven't decided that in its entirety. Kind of, so first of all, he's completely hairless. So he's bald, doesn't have any eyebrows or beard or anything, and he's kind probably made of some kind of opaque, dark stone, but it seems to be human most of the time, but it's not. Um, I don't know, but he. Huh. I chose the mark of my love who I betrayed, and I guess someone literally stole his heart. Uh, so he has a hole where it should be, and he had closed that up most of the time with some kind of clothes. But yeah, there's a hole in his torso. Um, well, and part of his body is a weapon he'll never use. That's his ability to control shadows turned up to 11, so he is able to form himself into shadow, but he won't do it, or he tries to not use that power. And he was summoned from a nightmare realm that will crown him king of all, or tries to do that, at least. Colossal Strength and Shadow Control are the two powers I chose. Yeah, well, enough for now, or should I?
Yeah. Yeah. If I guess I have some questions. Um, Specifically, who summoned you, and how are you summoned to this world, to
Good
Earth?
question.
Yeah. And if you don't have an answer for it, that's perfectly fine. This is a one shot. Like, there
Yeah,
might be
well,
some. Go ahead.
maybe there's a circle of magicians or wielders of some dark magic who wanted to use some power for themselves and accidentally summoned me, and I couldn't be controlled, or one of them got cold feet and then took me and got away, and so I ended up in the division or something like that.
Were they the ones who took your heart, or was your heart already taken when you got summoned?
So I was thinking about the opposite to me, something that embodies light or day or the sun, and that's also the love I can never actually find because it's yeah, it will burn me, I will darken it, and so it can't be ever.
Love to be star-crossed. At least they have your heart to remember you by. Uh, at least. Cool. Okay. I think in terms of what you want to know, those are good. Keeping those in mind. Cool. Thanks very much, Mario. I'm already rooting for him. Maybe to get his heart back. Who knows? Um, maybe get his heart back. Oh, sorry, I'm already thinking too hard. Let's move on to David. Cool. Can you tell us about our pure?
Yes, certainly. I will be playing the Pure, who their name is Phlegathon, or Geth for short. In normal, such as it is, day-to-day life, they appear to be a sort of strikingly attractive black man, always wearing sunglasses, kind of black skinny jeans, but with a sort of Greek toga isn't the right word, but like the sort of robes over the top. They are covered in tattoos that shift and change in line with their mood. They have the they are a vessel for the power of the river of fire from Hades, and they are a tool of destruction, currently held in check. They so the powers of darkness they control are elemental control over fire, unsurprisingly, and they have angelic fury and beauty. The things the darkness demands of them are to destroy everything around them for the slightest trespass, and to serve the most powerful harbinger of the apocalypse. I think that's I think in terms of how they come back, I think it's a similar-ish origin to our summoned, in that I think they had the power that they are manifesting was brought about by some, I see one of these like old kind of mystery cult type things that sort of operates now as like a sort of exclusive gentleman's club type thing, but with these occult underpinnings, and they trapped Phlegathon in their current form.
So, Phlegathon isn't like a person of this world that just got this power, or
they are, I think, but I think the person that they were before has mostly been consumed by the fire.
Lovely. There's something I do want to circle back to Nighty in a minute, but how long have you been working for the division? For division, you think?
I'm gonna say like not long in the grand scheme of things. Maybe a year or so, maybe a little longer than that. But yeah, not like not like decades or anything like that.
Okay. So I assume you've had dealings with this mystery cult before, or have they just kind of left you alone?
I think that I think they're maybe trying to reshackle Phlegathon, though with probably so far limited success.
He seems like a fun dude. Perpetually ever burning cigarette. Who thinks of these things? Great. Cool. Also, if folks have questions about these characters, feel free to shout them out as well. I do want to circle back to Nighty to ask as well, how long have you been working for Division, you think? And I've ran stuff with characters who have been around before the Division. Were around there for their founding. So feel free to go wild if you want to.
What year do we have now?
I'm gonna say this is set. Well, I say now, but nobody's out and about now. So, and we're going to a club. So we'll say, the 2010s. Let's say 2018 to 19 ish.
I'd say 40 years, but maybe I was gone for a long time, sucked into a dimensional hole or another realm or something like that, and I just came back, so I'm confused about what's going on right now in the 2010s.
Nice. So, if folks want to watch the further adventures of Nighty Eye, you got to pick up their solo comic. Solo comic miniseries, or maybe the next couple months of Apocalypse Keys will just be taken up by a flashback arc, and then people will be like, "Oh, what about the characters we like? We're just focusing on Night." Not that Nighty's
That
not great.
sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. Fans of Night will be like, "Hell yeah!" Get a few months with them. All right, cool. That sounds fab. All right, so let's move on to our shade, which Patrick, you can tell us more about her.
Yes, so I'm playing Angelica Vex, the Shade. She's a very witchy person. She's a witch. But I have a picture there. She has like lots of curly red hair, a sing-songy voice. I won't torture people by failing to do an accent, but a very sort of melodic voice. Glowing eyes at times, and rather than any like warm and living smell, she gives off the smell of old books and dark wood. She's a couple centuries old. I mean, not super old, just a couple centuries. I think her sort of start on her path and what changed her from a natural medium and studying to be a witch, which is sort of what she did in her first mortal life, was that she died under strange circumstances. It was a ritual that her coven was working. I don't think she exactly remembers all the details of it. But on the other side of the veil, as Death was taking the rest of her coven mates, it gloatingly sent her back into the world to be a messenger, to be its harbinger of the doom that it was going to bring to people. And so she spent a long time since then making sure that she would, not run into that situation again, not cross over the veil, not run into death. These are all very important things because death is scary. It's a jerk, and it's coming for all of us, like coming for all of us. Let's see. The powers that I took were Let the Dead Speak and Shadow Magic. And then with my advance, I took a third one, which is Necromancy.
I should note out that I think I said people get 2 advances, so you should have 1 more.
Oh, okay. Then I'll look at another move as well. And let's see. So what does darkness demand? The darkness, or at least her plan and her approach to dealing with the darkness, is she needs to consume every natural medium in the world to take all of their power at once so that she can rip open the veil and kill Death. I mean, it's just the logical next step.
Bit of a tall order, but I'm rooting for her. It sounds like Death is a jerk, so...
It's real awful. My moves I have there are Soul Like a Steel Trap, which is I've been around for a while. I think I've been in Division since the late 40s, early 50s. I think I had heard increasing rumors about an organization that was gathering supernatural, magical knowledge, power. I think I was on the hunt for a couple of grimoires that I managed to track down to the Division had gathered them all up. So rather than, trying to break in and steal all their things, or dealing with all of their agents and whatever. Well, it's just easier to tell them that I joined so that I could live in the library for a couple decades.
These like magical mystery cults running around.
And then the other move I have so far is Death Walked Here, which is I can look into the past events in an area and then ask Death some questions. Sort of dangerous edge for my overall goals. But yeah, so that's Angelica.
Cool. I guess like my main question is like Death. When you interact with Death, are they like sentient? Are they like are they like a person, at least to you?
Yeah, I think they're sentient. I think they're personified. I think I'll go with the like hooded, shrouded figure. Can't really get a hold on features or like exactly what they are underneath all of that concealment and magic. But they definitely have a personality. They definitely have goals, a personal sort of vendetta to work on, which is not what one would hope for out of the natural forces of the universe.
Yeah, you're gonna hope they're just impartial and uncaring. They just happen. Cool. All right. I'm rooting for Angelica. Hope she kills Death. And last but not the least, Rich, tell us about our last.
I will be playing Doyen the last. Doyen's not my actual name. I took this to remind me of before when I commanded the forces that attempted to take over the world. It was long ago. I was not successful. My look is that I have unique skin oils that glisten and shine, a symbol that represents everything that was taken from me. It's a crown I wear from time to time. No one respects it, but I am the last of an army sent to destroy the world. I was thinking we would take it over, but there were other orders. I was captured, and the division had me released from my eternal prison. I'm moderately thankful. My powers include dimensional phasing, void spells, and an ancient weapon of destruction that normally looks like what you would call a sword. Darkness demands that I resurrect my people at the expense of humanity. Of course. It occasionally asks that I awaken the leviathans in space, of which only I can reach, but I'm mixed on that. My powers include my harrowing beauty. Sometimes my mask of humanity slips. I can end an attack or interaction by revealing how truly alien or other I am. And a flickering hope, where I can describe a memory I have of my people, of which I can speak with love, sorrow, or both, and make a roll.
I keep saying this. I'm rooting for them in every single way. How long were you in your eternal prison? Which is a bit of a misnomer since you're out of it.
Indeed. It's difficult to say. Decades, centuries, millennia, what does it matter? A long time. There were less languages then. People are more interesting now.
So, who knows how long you're in that prison, but how long have you been in the division?
Oh, not long. Not long at all. I think they're rather worried about something. Why else would they have freed me from the prison? A few days or weeks or months? I'm not sure. Time's an illusion.
Big mood. Uh, um, yeah. God, I don't want to ask too much. I want to just see it all. There's when you're confronted with a character that's just fulminating with mystery and prestige, and like I don't want to poke anymore. They might eat me. I think I'll keep it at that unless anyone has any questions for Doyen the last. But that's certainly a lot to work on. Whew. Okay. Before the last thing we do is bonds, because bonds are kind of like neat. They are basically one more way to like adjust your the result of your roll. They can add a plus or a minus, depending on how many bonds you expend. It's a 1-for-1. You have some bond questions. So we'll jump back to 90, and basically up to yourself if you want to offer this question to a specific character, or if you want to open it up to the table. So yeah, let's see what starting bonds you have.
Yeah, the first question is, you were there when I was summoned. What makes you afraid of me? What makes you love me? So I think Doyen was in his prison cell, so he couldn't have watched it. Probably the witch. I think you might be the one who witnessed. Were you part of the circle, maybe, or the one who got me away?
And how long ago was this? When were you summoned, do you think?
I'd say in the 60s, but we can change that.
Okay, no, that's fine. I don't think I was part of the circle, but I think I had seen hints of the coven that was bringing you to, that was like trying to summon you through division. I think I like diverted reports and stuff so that division didn't hear about it and I could get there first. I think the reason why I was tied in, why I was coming, why I'm afraid of you is, you have that shadow control. You're sort of the shadow magic world, and that's a lot of what I've learned and where my power comes from. So I'm afraid of you because you're tied into that same power that Death was coming after, that same power that's my strength and my curse all at the same time.
Okay, so my power is tied to Death, which is your nemesis.
What makes me love you? I think it's that feeling of connection, and like someone I can relate to, someone who can understand me, especially as you started getting drawn into division. I've spent much of my long life avoiding witches, mediums, people like me, either being afraid of like Death's attention that they might call, or as I started experimenting with stealing the powers from other mediums, like you don't hang out with people that you're hunting. That doesn't usually go well. So having someone that I could truly connect with on like a magical, spiritual level is something that I just haven't felt in decades, centuries, maybe.
Okay, cool. That sounds good to me.
So basically, you get 90. You get one bond with Vex, and you can spend those bonds when you make rolls later in the game. So, what's your second question?
Why can't you tell me you love me?
We've got two great candidates for that.
Yeah. Does one of you connect with that question in any way when you heard it? Why can't you tell me you love me?
It could easily be Doyen.
Okay.
We're all likely doomed. I would hate to distract you from what needs to be done for the division.
Okay.
Our emo would-be conqueror of the worlds. That gets you 2 bonds with Doyen. 90. We're in for a good time. Cool. I think that's all about. Unless you want to ask for further detail on that.
No, I don't know about it, so that's fine.
Lovely. Cool. Moving on to Geth. Flagathon. Let's go to your starting bonds.
Yeah, certainly. So my first one is, you were there when I truly let go. What did I destroy that belonged to you, and why are you grateful? And yeah, I'll read out my yeah. So I'm happy for that to be with whoever. I don't have a preference. So if someone is interested in that.
I had a small gallery, things that I had painted from my world that you destroyed. I appreciate it. It caused me great pain seeing those things that I've lost.
Cool. I like it. So I gain 1 bond with Doyen. And my other question is, I love you, but you rejected me for my own sake. Why?
If I can see that one for Angelica.
Cool.
And I think it's because of your power, like the limitless energy and magic inside of you. She knows that, if we're just working together in division, if things are kept separate and professional, you'll be fine. But if she gets too close, if she's around that power too intimately, too much, like, she knows how important her mission is to her and what she's done for it in the past, and she doesn't think you would survive it.
Cool. I like it.
Hell yeah. I think those are both your starting bonds. Cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Angelica. Speaking of Angelica, let's go to your starting bonds.
So let's see. You were there when I died. How does the event haunt you, and why do you care for me?
It can be fungible with this question since you died centuries ago.
And I think it's fine that I've died several times over the centuries since then. I don't think I've always been successful in staying immortal, but I have always come back.
If someone else is interested, then I'd be happy for them to go for it. But I'd be quite interested in this, in the fact that Phlegethon is intimately connected with the underworld. So maybe, yeah, you know, maybe not witnessing the actual death itself, but the immediate aftermath of it.
Yeah. So what about it haunted you, and why do you care for me?
I think maybe seeing Angelica able to escape the bonds of death and return to life kind of showed him an example of, you know, sort of changing fate and all of that, and I think that's inspired him.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like that.
I also may have been playing far too much Hades recently, but that's entirely aside.
Perfectly fine. Role-playing games are the way to get those feelings. One of the ways to get those feelings out there. It might be possible. I've put 109 hours into that game. What's your? I've been playing it since early access. That's why. But cool. What's your other starting bond, Angelica?
Sorry, I was just trying to parse it, but I love you, but I can't accept it. Why do you allow me to remain ignorant? Which I don't understand the question, I guess.
Hold on. Yeah, because I had that question. I remember it being phrased differently. Hold on. Yeah, that is how it is. Hold on. I thought it said you can't accept it. Let me double check. Yeah, no, it is like that. I love you, but I can't accept it. Why do you allow me to remain ignorant? Which, yeah. I'm trying to remember, how did I parse it because I played this playbook before. I think it's in the sense that, like, sorry, I was trying to find my notes. Okay. Basically, you're basically asking why aren't they acknowledging it? As in, like, why aren't they, like, reciprocating or something like that? I think that's how we interpreted last time.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. Also, I love the glitter beard you got going on there, Patrick.
Yeah, my beard is just close enough to the green color of my background that it's doing weird stuff.
Oh, is that what's happening? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he just put some glitter on. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going partially transparent. It's fine.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm in an unrequited thing with Geth. Who else wants to be in a confusing emotional relationship?
Sorry, the way people reacted, like,
I don't know if it works with the bond we already established, but if it does, I'm open for it.
No, I like that. There would be a lot of complicated stuff in there.
Yeah.
I love you, and I'm afraid of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't accept it because it's you. As you said, it's kind of like because you're afraid of them. But they give you this.
So
feeling of connection.
why do you shy away from the potential relationship? Why do you shy away from the emotion here?
Well, I think my destiny might stand between us in some kind of way. So if I'd say yes to you and our some kind of relationship that goes beyond friends or a professional thing in the division, then I might accidentally do something bad or pull you down with me or kill you or something like that. And that's not what I want at all.
Nice. So there's this thing between us, but I have these sort of unfounded fears, except they're not entirely unfounded because some of your responses and maybe some of the like psychic things I pick up from you, they just seem to reinforce my fears and make it worse.
I think sometimes it's not that subtle. I sometimes just destroy things and act out. And so, well, you might have a point there. Yeah.
Nice.
We don't have room for subtlety in this game. All right, so I keep kind of stop making the same joke. Last but not the least, our last. It's right there. I'm sorry.
One of you was there when I died. That is not a question for me. I'll move to the other tab. One of you know of another like me. Why will not telling me protect me? Who knows of another of my kind?
You are the last of your kind on this world, but maybe there's one imprisoned in the shadow realm or in the realm of death, or maybe in some in between.
Yeah, I was gonna say this question fits for like quite everyone. Everyone here, they've all been in different realms. It's a question of who wants to protect Doyen by not telling them.
Everyone's so eager.
I mean, I can run across something. I've been through all sorts of old tomes and knowledge and weird places and spirits and things. So I know of another like you out there somewhere walking between the veil, the shadow, and the real world. Why will not telling you protect you? Because I think the only reason that, or at least Angelica thinks the only reason that you've given up on your apocalyptic mission, the only reason why you've started looking at what other things in life and the world can be is because you're alone. I believe that if you knew there were even one more of your kind out there, it would just start you on your mission all over again.
You are perhaps correct. Geth or Night Eye, one of you, we loved each other once. Why do we keep hurting each other?
I can definitely see that being Geth, possibly in an earlier incarnation or an earlier manifestation. But yeah, I think it's that thing of us both being kind of similar in that we have a tendency to destroy things, and I think we've not even necessarily antagonistically towards each other, but I think certainly Geth can't trust himself not to destroy and bring things to an end, and I think that kind of reflects off and has coloured their relationship in general.
God, you're a lot. All right, cool. Made our web of characters. Let's take a good 10 minutes to take a break. And when we come back, we're just going to jump you in. We are going to try to solve the mystery of Sister Midnight, and unleash this dysfunctional, messy group into the world. Cool. Let's come back in 10 minutes, and yeah, we'll get started. See you in a bit.
Very well.
Okay, so I think we're gonna open with where we're going, the venue of the gig that we're going to. Just to reiterate the pitch for this game, for this one shot, for this mystery. Basically, let me just load the blurb again. Where are we? No, that's not it. Sorry, my notes are a mess. They're annoying. For one night only, The return of the monstrous, mysterious, menacing maven, the one they call at the dead of night for a pleasing crepuscular time, guaranteed a sojourn like you wouldn't believe. So a cold case of the Division has reignited once more. 20 years ago, Division picked up reports of an intrusion from a plane of existence. Some would say demonic. Others say shadow-filled. Others say veiled in some way. Others say it was full of mist and fire. Who knows? It's all quite vague. It was centered around a struggling singer-songwriter act with some cult appeal by the name of Sister Midnight. Details are scarce. All we know is like something came out from somewhere, burnt down an entire club, and there was a lone survivor of the events whose memory of it is quite shattered. But now an act calling itself Sister Midnight has resurfaced one more. That lone survivor has since was adopted by the Division and has grown up to be an operative of that same division named Harper. They're quite hell-bent in uncovering the mystery, and so has brought you four along to help her. So I think when we open up, we're going to open up in like this let's say it's an urban street. I say urban street. I think we're gonna set this because it's easier for me. This is gonna be set in Dublin. Because I just want to set more things in Dublin. It's a rather rain-swept kind of street because it's Dublin. But even so, there's quite a line of people. Even though it's still afternoon, and Club Hysteria isn't going to open until much later in the night. But people want to be here because, it's the return of Sister Midnight, an act whose appeal only grew after their big mysterious disappearance. And suddenly people were like, oh man, these songs, they were foretelling something, that sort of vibe. So I think when we open up, there is going to be the Division is going to spring nice for y'all. There's going to be a limo passing by, and it's going to park on a side street near the club. And when we kind of open up, the door opens and out steps out this like tall, heavily coated, as in they have a very heavy coat on, with an umbrella, blonde woman, who's got kind of like these eyes that are quite steely, I'd say. They look like they can pierce through concrete. You don't know, well, you can tell me if literally she can pierce through concrete. This is Operative Harper, and she steps away from the limo, and I think the next couple of shots is going to be you four stepping out of the limo. Because the Division has sprang for a nice ride to bring you to Club Hysteria. I kind of want to get from each of yourselves like a description and a shot of what your character looks like, and how do you think they're feeling as they come out into this soggy, crappy alleyway that's like 2 streets away from where you're meant to be going. Let's go. Let's go right to left this time. The last is the first. Up is down. Oh no.
Crazy. It's mind-blowing. So as part of the introduction, I'd like to fire the Flickering Hope move, which is the start of each session, and we only have the one. So this is my one and only shot to pull this one off. I think what we see is Doyen with his pale white skin and his straight bone white hair. He has these little finger, I don't know what they're called, but this little kind of bronze colored finger caps. And he's tapping on a little Android phone, and slowly there's an art program, and he's trying to draw a picture from memory of his home. It's a thing that he does often, just a little kind of mnemonic. And he is dressed, we're going to a club. I don't think he does fashion. So what you see is what you get. think he's got the leather, almost like cuirass in a way, with the oversized, weird honkin' belt buckle thing with glorious red velvet underneath. And yeah, he still has his infernal device because he's never far away from it. We're here to work. I'm dressed for work. This is my work uniform. And what he's drawing is a memory he has of his people. So I think that it's this summit, like a flattened off summit of a mountain, and he's overlooking this placid lake. But the lake is, he kind of taps the little color for red and colors that in with red and draws little black shapes in the red lake. Perhaps they're swimming. It's a phone. It's hard to see these details. And now I get to roll darkness. So
Yes.
darkness starts at 0.
Mm-hmm. So you roll a flat.
All right.
So
seems like a hard
well, at the
thing.
start of each session.
Yeah, it's the start of the session. So but your darkness carries over. It doesn't reset.
Yes.
Just
Yeah,
so I
it
know,
carries
so I'll
over.
learn the game. Okay, cool. All right. That's a 4.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. On a 7 minus, your memories falter. The memory that you're doodling, you can either lose it or mark a doom to keep it.
Oh, I gotta keep that memory. Come on.
Okay. I think the keeper will tell you what happens next. I'll hold it until everyone's introduced because I think I know what'll help you keep that memory once you step out of this alleyway.
Yeah, I think there's just a moment where his eyes like narrow as he tries to figure out the next piece of that memory. But then he realizes that everyone's getting out of the vehicle and he clicks it closed and stands up out of the vehicle.
Cool. All right, so if we're going right to left, I'm already confused by topsy-turvy today. Vex, what do we see of you?
So, Doyen gets out of the vehicle. He's standing there for a second. And then there's just very sort of languidly and elegantly, there's this arm that reaches out of the vehicle. You can see her like perfectly manicured nails. You can see a large ring on one of her fingers. And you can see the sleeve of her dress. It's like a skin-tight dress that's shimmery and green, sort of iridescent snake scale looking a bit. And she holds out her hand in that expected way of course you're going to help me up out of the limo. And there's Doyen just like tapping on his thing, not paying attention. So the hand sits there for a moment, and then there's this as she'll reach for the edge of the door instead and help herself out of the limo. As she gets out, you can see her hair and makeup are the sort of thing that would take a team of people several hours to achieve. But it's just how she looks all of the time, especially when in the middle of a punch-up. She climbs out of the car. She's sort of petite, but fills out her very skin-tight dress well. She shakes her head in a little annoyance and, not even looking at Doyen, walks past him to Operative Harper.
Yes.
And goes up to her because obviously she will respect my position and what's going on here. And I think as I feel ignored or unimportant by Doyen, I'm going to pick up 2 darkness.
Yeah. I was going to say, be sure to look at your picking up darkness prompts because that is the way to get those tokens.
It's not a big thing, so I'm not going to go for the 3 or 4 or whatever, but I'll pick up a couple points there.
Yeah. Oh, I will say, things happen if you hit 5 tokens. That means you've got too much darkness and you got to corrupt your soul. But we'll get to that if any of you ever hit 5 tokens. But keep that in mind. Cool. So, after Angelica, We have Flegeth. Geth. There we go.
Yeah, so I think Geth steps out of the limo. He's wearing. He has ditched the usual sort of toga type affair, and is just wearing one of those kind of sort of gladiator style leather harnesses, which is exposing his tattoos. And at the moment, his tattoos are mostly lots of flames, probably the odd skull in there, all over his exposed skin. He's wearing sort of he's wearing I think leather trousers and boots under the harness. Dark sort of circular sunglasses covering his eyes. He obviously has a lit cigarette hanging out of the corner of his mouth as he stands up. And as he sort of gets out of the car, I think there's just that very gentle sort of sizzling sound while he's outside, and none of the rain ever quite reaches his skin.
I kind of add a silly detail, but I think Operative Harper's like looking at you, and Angelica, you hear this, she just kind of like mutters to herself, I think smoking indoors is banned in this country. We'll let them figure that out. And last but not the least, Nighty, last out of the limo.
Nighty gets out. He's standing there, patting himself down as if he's searching for something, but he never brings anything to one of these missions, so you're wondering what he's searching for. It's more like a feeling than something he's actually doing, and he's wearing black and black, so black boots, black jeans, a black turtleneck, and a black gangster style hat, and his skin tone today is grayish with his black deep eyes. He's just kind of lost in the middle of the street.
I feel sad. One more thing, because this game is in playtest, so Jamie's been playtesting several things. In the group I ran, there's no XP on the miss. On the group they're running, there's an XP on miss. Because it's a one shot, let's do it. They're still trying to figure out which feels better. But because it's a one shot, I kind of inclined to go with XP on a miss, just because who knows how many misses might happen. So Doyen wanted to take an XP for that miss.
If you insist.
Okay, I think like once you're all out of oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just while we're discussing mechanical things, I just wanted to check in as well, because so I've not played this before, but I've played the other one. I'm blanking on the name of the minute. With the rolls with darkness, do you spend that, or is it just that cool? I thought that's how it is in the
Liberté.
No, the Jamie's other one about the demon butlers.
Oh. Better the devil you serve.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Cool.
Anyone who's watching or listening, if you want to learn more about that game, check out the Gauntlet podcast on all your podcatchers of choice. I think once the four of you are kind of like out there and shenanigans are done, Operative Harper just kind of like does this a lot. A small kind of sighing that's kind of like it's quite judgy, and without even saying anything, we'll just kind of like start walking and expect you to like walk out of the alleyway. And here's the thing that I'm gonna hit just Doyen with. Once you kind of like out, you see like on the side of Club Hysteria there is a mural that's kind of like painted, and kind of like on the foreground is Sister Midnight. Or at least this act calling itself Sister Midnight, who, as I've been using the picture, looks like a robot nun all red chrome, and black lips, with this shawl that's like red lined. But Diane, it's the background of this mural that kind of like catches your eye. What was your most cherished piece from that gallery of yours that got destroyed? What did it look like?
There was a piece of one of my docents who was suspended by cables piercing their flesh. They were in a beautiful repose.
I think, I think you see not a reproduction, but like, or yeah, it is a reproduction, but clearly it's not painted by your hand or hand of your kind, but close enough. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change my mind. No, it does look like it's painted on this mural by someone who's like practiced in your art, in your expertise. Um, and it's in the background of this mural, with Sister Midnight in the forefront, just kind of having their arms out, like they're beckoning you, to this club. I think Operative Harper doesn't even like notice. She's still walking towards like the back of the club and expecting the four of you to lead, to follow, um, not lead. No, she's in the lead. Some establishing questions for y'all.
I think Doyen will pause and not be moving with the group. He seems confused and enthralled with this vision.
Cool. Hmm. Okay. So I think that sounds like, not to keep making you roll basic moves, but this might be one of the basic moves. Listen to the dark when you deal with forceful emotional turmoil and pressure from your past responsibilities or relationships. This is kind of like it's kind of like inner conflict in the sense of like, oh, what do I do? Or do you think this, you're just entranced for the moment?
I mean, I'm trying to react with doubt or confusion to gain a couple of darkness. But if you think
Okay,
that
yeah.
triggers a move, I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah, I think, okay, here, I think Operative Harper, you can take those darkness tokens. Operative Harper's gonna notice, and she's just gonna stop, and not even looking, she'll just say, Doyen, we have a job to do. Stop gawking at the local flavor.
I will return to this.
I think like she'll just kind of like nod, and she's still not looking. She just stopped for a moment to say that, and then we'll keep walking. So I have some establishing questions for folks. Who here has worked with Agent Harper before, or Operative Harper before? Just remember, she was adopted by the division, and 20 years ago. That make her like, late 20s, at the most. So she's been kind
I've
of new.
definitely worked with her.
Yeah. Any opinions on her?
I mean, she's obviously pretty full of herself. She's grown up in the division, so as far as their methods are fairly effective, she's pretty good in the field. But certainly not good enough for the attitude she puts off.
Cool. Lovely. As Operative Harper is like taking you to the back area, to like the back alley behind Club Hysteria, I want to know who here has listened to Sister Midnight's work.
I think I have. I think I have some possibly some pre-existing interest in the whole mysterious burning down of the club thing that happened before.
Cool. Any opinions on what kind of music? I'll leave it up to you to define what kind of music Sister Midnight does.
I think just given our general get up for this place, I think it is some variety of sort of goth music. My personal knowledge of goth subculture is very minimal, so I won't name anything more specific than that. But yeah.
Cool. I think there's someone waiting for you in the back alley. It's there. I should say there's an NPCs tab at the very right of this character keeper. There's someone like waiting for you. Who is your contact? Kind of like how Apocalypse Keys is built up. Each mystery has like a contact, and this one is waiting for you. She's holding up a umbrella a bit too large for her. She looks tired because she's a journalist. They all look tired to me. I used to work as a journalist. I can say this. She's got like a leather jacket on her, and she kind of like, you're all a weird bunch, but she doesn't even bat an eyelid. And Operative Harper is just like, Miss Faraday. And Veronica Faraday, who is like your contact, just kind of like, I don't know what you're expecting to find here, Harper, but I quite like this club. I hope that it doesn't burn down in your watch. Do any of you have any burning down abilities? Looks at the four of you.
Generally, nothing as small as a club, but sure.
What sort of monsters do you think we are? We just go around spreading public destruction, burning down buildings? We're professionals here.
I think some shadows in the corner are moving like flames.
I think Veronica rolls her eyes at that and says like, well, you've not dealt with me, but I've dealt with the Division before. Division brings all sorts. So I just gotta be sure, you know? The other establishing question I have is, what kind of monster is Veronica Faraday? Do you think? I think I'll leave that to tonight, you, Doyen. What kind of not human would you recognize her to be?
She appears to be a stringless marionette.
Wow. Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm kind of wondering how to put it out in the world, but no, we'll have plenty of opportunity for that.
They're the small wound, the back of her hands and her elbows, the way her mouth moves out of sync with her voice. It's obvious, really.
Thanks, Doyen. And I think like as you're kind of observing that Veronica's handing out like press passes to the five of you, including Operative Harper, and she's saying like, I had to scrimp together a few favors to get you all here, but apparently, according to Operative Harper, this is terribly important. And this should get you around the club, get you talking to the acts are there, the manager. No chance of talking to the main act before the show is on, though. She's busy preparing herself, apparently. And she's rolling her eyes. I think you can see, when you're closer, you can see like those eyes of hers are kind of like, they're not real eyes for sure. It's the effect, kind of like the human looking effect gets less convincing the closer she is to you. That's why I think when she hands you the press passes, she's very quick to like move away. And yeah, I think she will just kind of like knock on the back door, and like a tall bouncer looking fella just kind of opens it, and he's just gonna grunts like passes, and everyone's holding passes, and I think she just leads you in. Okay. I think so. Let me just explain a bit more of how this works. This is a mystery, for sure. Each mystery comes with a complexity. If you played Brindlewood Bay before, you can apparently this is where this comes from. Whenever the way to kind of solve this mystery is to pick up keys, keys of the apocalypse, and there's a basic move for that called grasping keys. That's kind of the investigate move, and once you think you know the solution to the mystery, like the question here being, who is this Sister Midnight, and are they a threat? That's kind of like the big mystery. So if so, what kind of threat? At least as Harper thinks. If you think you have a good hypothesis, because I don't have an answer to this mystery. That's kind of how this works. Instead, I'm here to give you keys. And if you think you have a good answer, you're going to roll a basic move called Unlocking Doom's Door. You can't, and the way that works is that you're going to roll minus the complexity. Or you're going to roll against the complexity of the mystery. Roll plus the number of keys found minus the mystery's complexity. So say you have 3 keys and you roll against, and you roll to solve the mystery, you're going to roll the -1 because the complexity of this mystery is 4. And then we'll see what happens. So that's kind of the gist of it, of how the mystery segment of Apocalypse Keys works. Cool. So yeah, I think you're led into Club Hysteria's back rooms, and it's a club. It's the back rooms of a club. It's kind of dingy. It's sticky. It's not the greatest. There's like a few people milling about. It's like a lot of tight corridors, a lot of like boxes full of sound equipment. And I think Veronica's like explaining to the 5 of you that like those passes give you as much free reign as I could convince Jimmy, the manager, but don't. You already stand out, but given the kind of folks this club attracts, probably blend in, but just no need to cause a ruckus. All right, like I said, I quite like this club. There's the manager, there's Jimmy. I think the supporting act is here. God, it's those people. No, literally, the band is called Those People. But I'd say good luck trying to talk to Sister Midnight. They are here in the building, but they've kind of shut themselves away.
So the sister is off preparing for the performance, but do they perform alone? Do they have a band on stage with them? Or just the opening act?
I think it's all so annoyingly wishy-washy, honestly. There's a mystery to it. Ooh, does she have a band? As far as I can tell, asking folks around here, she just came by herself with a lot of equipment. So it might be a one person thing. Honestly, I don't even know who this person is. I know they're here because Jimmy won't shut the fuck up about it.
Artistes.
That's true. Anyway, the club's not open yet, so you can also wander around in the club as well. Just again, don't make too much of a fuss. I think like Operative Harper just kind of like grunts a yeah, sure, and immediately like strides off, but not before she like turns to the 4 of you and she says. Because I think Veronica at this point has kind of like wandered off, and she says, I don't care what that puppet says. We're here to solve a mystery. We're here to do a job. Do what you need to do. Kind of like just gives you like a nod. Also, the sunlight is in my face. This is annoying. And yeah, I think I think they will stride off, and you can tell they're kind of like heading off to like no, they're not locker rooms. This is a club. To deeper into the back areas of the club. And yeah, this is the point where I kind of like leave you off to like do your investigation. There's like a lot of things. There's like look around, poke around the club proper. There's people to talk to. There's those people. Veronica's still around. Try to find Sister Midnight if you want to. There's the manager, Jimmy. You've got weird powers. Yeah. What do you
Are
do?
there already Geth, maybe in front of the club, standing in line or waiting?
Oh
in line?
yeah, there is a line of people, and you can tell some of them have been sitting around since the start of the day. Some people brought. I think you can see like through the windows. Or no, I said we passed them by when you were driving around. There were folks with like fishing chairs when waiting around. All got umbrellas because it's raining outside.
I think I'd like to check them out, mostly these hardcore fans. Maybe they are in some way connected to Sister Midnight or to, I don't know. I want to have a look at them.
Cool. All right, so that's what Nighty's doing. Anyone want to join Nighty, or do you want to do something else? Because I don't want to just put you on 4 different scenes. But if not, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I don't think Angelica would go out in the rain to talk to the common people. But people kept talking about a manager. Now, is that like the club manager or Sister Midnight's manager?
It's Sister Midnight's manager.
Ooh, I definitely want to talk to. Is that Jimmy?
Yes, Jimmy. I wrote down a surname and I realized I don't like it. I wrote down Jimmy Del Rey, and I'm pretty sure that's an artist of some sort. I'll keep it, Jimmy Del Rey. Sure. Yeah, I think he won't be hard to find. So that's what Angelica's doing. What about Geth or Doyen? Now, I'll say right now, Doyen, if you want to go back to that mural, no one's going to stop you. You do what you want. It's your character.
The other thing, I just wanted to double check if I was misremembering. What is this, or is this club on the site of where the old one used to be, or is it just an entirely unrelated?
That's a good question. It is absolutely on the original site of the club burning,
Right,
of the
cool.
burnt down club 20 years ago.
In which case, I think I'm probably going to attempt something spooky. But yeah, I will.
Okay, cool. Nothing bad will happen for sure. Maybe. Who knows? Diane, what are you up to? You want to hang out with these people, or?
I think Angelica has a good nose for these things. I'll follow her to speak to this manager, but I'll probably just let her do the talking.
It's probably a good idea. We're still working on filing down your manners.
Exactly.
I will say the comfort and support move of this reach for the light, that is also the aid move. Just keeping that in mind. Okay, let's start with 90. So what does it look like when you like try to talk amongst these fans? The people, which I would say it's a variety of people. There's some who are in like blasphemous nun outfits, or folks who are like just regular normal people. There's some folks who are like in fancy goth wear. I'm not part of goth culture as well. I was an emo kid, so I don't know.
Did I understand correctly that we got backstage passes?
Yeah, basically you got press passes to like let you go anywhere in the club besides where Sister Midnight is.
I just put that around my neck, so I think that's a kind of obvious and the only colorful thing about me. So I'm standing right next to the fans who are waiting first in line and are there since the dawn of the day. So for now, I'm just standing there looking at them, maybe kind of creepy or strange in a way, just checking them out, and maybe they will react to me in some kind of way. I'm looking for, is there something special about them or something?
Yeah. Cool. This is grasping for keys, for sure, of the basic moves. Grasping keys. When you search for a clue, investigate the signs of the apocalypse, or use your powers of darkness to gather info, describe how you're doing so, and roll plus darkness. I would say as well, you can burn a bond to add a +1 to a roll. So if you don't have any darkness tokens and if you got bonds, you can do so as well. If you go over 3 bonds, it's kind of like how in Apocalypse World, where you reset to 0 but mark XP and describe something about your relationship. And the way to gain bonds is to reach for the light. Anyway, so let's grasp for some keys. All right, so we don't have any darkness right now. So,
no, I don't think I will burn a bond 2. So I just roll 2d6 when I find the dice roller in all my tabs. So I got a 6.
Yeah, okay, mark XP. Okay, on a 7 minus, which remind folks, the full success in this game is an 8 to 10, and the mixed success is an 11 plus. Just it's a reminder. On a 7 minus, you find more than you're ready for. You may choose to mark doom to get a key of the apocalypse, but in doing so, the keeper will reveal how you may become a harbinger of the apocalypse. Okay, so here's what's happening first. The people at the front, they look like there's 3 people, and they look like they're hardcore Sister Midnight fans, as in like they've dressed up like that person in the mural. The person in the NPCs tab, as in chrome face with black lipstick and the shawl. They were kind of like talking to each other, giggling and talking about what they're going to do. But then when you step out, one of them kind of like notices you and pats the others, and they're like, "Oh, what? Can you see that? Can you see that?" And they start looking at you expectantly, and they're kind of like giggling. And one of them leans over the fence and just says, "Excuse me, but aren't you Night Eye? You're Night Eye, aren't you?
I might be, yes. Yes.
You're the one summoned from the Shadow Realm. You're the one with the lost heart, aren't you?"
Take a step back. That's at least that's what is known, or I'm confused. You guys, are you a fan of Sister Midnight or a fan of me? That's not the right venue for my show.
I think one of the other girls kind of pats the one talking in the kind of slaps on the shoulder, and like, "Valerie, you're giving the game away. She said only to entice him, not they said to only entice him. You don't want to." And Valerie's just like, I know what I'm doing, Aoife. I know what I'm doing. And turns back to you. There's something clearly going on here, but you're gonna need to mark doom to get like a key of the apocalypse.
We'll do that. That's also on my sheet somewhere, I think.
Yes, you scroll down
there. Yeah.
Okay. So you've marked doom to get a key of the apocalypse, and I think the key is just like the girl suddenly leans over and says, "Well, the thing is, we're fans of all sorts of cool stuff, supernatural stuff, and we and so we were fans. Don't get us wrong, we're big fans of Sister Midnight. Clearly, we got the thing, but we We heard about you from your friend. Um, yeah, they're not as shadowy as you. They're kind of the opposite. And they said that where Sister Midnight will be, it's where you'll be, and so they wanted to give you a message. If that's okay.
Please go on.
And I think like the three girls kind of like suddenly like almost in unison step close to the fence, and their eyes kind of go wide. And when they talk to you, and when they deliver this message, like light kind of like is coming out of their lips, and they speak in a voice you haven't heard in a long time. In fact, since your heart was taken. And they say, the world of shadow has been looking for you, my sweet. They will use the Sister of Midnight to take you back and make you king. That's the key, basically.
Yeah, I kind of shield myself from the light and get darker, and some kind of shadowy mist is coming out of my eyes and mouth and ears, and I'm stepping back a few more steps, but I listen to them, and I'm that happened fast. Like that was a lot to take in right now when I just checked out the fan. So yeah, okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you step back into the club and we'll cut away from you to Angelica and Doyen then. I think you will find Jimmy Del Rey, which sounds like a Grand Theft Auto character, the name. He is hanging out in the bar. He's got like a fancy waistcoat and a gold watch, like chain watch on their hip. They're, they look like they're close to like their mid-30s. They've kind of like a kind of like balding, kind of like brown hair, and they are like actually. Now I think about it, I'm imagining them more as a Paul Heyman type. So slick back, brown hair. They're on like their phone, and they're not really noticing. They're not gonna notice you. They're kind of like just tapping on their phone and kind of like muttering excitedly, just like, I can't believe the buzz that's happening out here. All these, and you can see like he's mainlining social media into his veins, so to speak.
So I think Angelica, as we get closer, will sort of quirk an eyebrow, slink up, sit down at the bar next to him, sort of infinite exasperation dripping from her voice. Jimmy Del Rey. And I have a move. Your reputation precedes you. In your first encounter a named NPC, you may declare that they have intimate ties with division. I think this is not the first supernatural mess that we've run across Jimmy in.
Yeah. All right. So you take 3 darkness tokens. That will bring you up to 5. But I cleared this up with Jamie earlier in the week. If you take tokens as part of a move, you're gonna roll, and you spend those darkness tokens. That means you don't do the corrupt your soul move when you hit 5. Okay. So you don't have to do that.
I will turn around and spend 2 of those on the roll then.
Okay. So this move is called First Encounter. It's one of the situational moves. Everyone has that. This is like a special variation that Angelica has. It's kind of like what's the roll?
So it's just close, but 8 plus 2 is 10. So
You're in the sweet
right
spot.
on the edge there.
Yes, right on the edge. Yeah, so you've dealt with them or others like them. Your variation,
It's
8 to
I get
10,
to
choose one.
choose one.
Yeah.
I don't have any doom. I don't have a condition, so I will gain a bond with Jimmy.
What's your significant connection to Jimmy Del Rey? Because he will remember you.
I mean, it certainly wasn't my intention to save him from the rest of the cultists that he was getting messed up with, but he had information I needed. It was just too squirmy and useful to quite leave behind. So I think he probably sees me as having saved him, and I see him as like, this annoying little toad that caught on in one of these messes.
I think, yeah, you say Jimmy Del Rey, and at first he's just like, not now, I'm busy. I'm Jelly. Hey, he'll give you a big hug.
Jelly?
No, we are not starting that.
Oh, don't worry. Jelly's just a thing between me and, well, Jelly, of course. Jimmy Del Rey, the manager extraordinaire. Ooh, are you a spooky friend of hers?
I'm neither.
All right. Neither a friend nor spooky. All right. Well, you've got a quite a mystical noblesse oblige kind of vibe on you. So at the very least, you're colleagues, aren't you? I see. All right. Okay. You're doing the stonewalling spooky thing. I get you.
Music management? That's really where you've landed this time?
Well, the orchid business wasn't doing well for me, and well, if you didn't know, recently I tried to get into book publishing, but it turns out people don't really care for memoirs of mediocre Twitch streamers these days, apparently, because who of their demographic reads books. So music management seems like it kind of just fell in my lap. You know it is. It's an opportunity, and you got to take any and all opportunities you can. You know how it is.
Oh, of course, but what an opportunity. Sister Midnight, they haven't been around in years.
Decades, even. Decades. Yeah. I remember when they first kind of blew up. Well, okay, blew up is the wrong term to use. It was more of a burning down, really. Burned
I've
down
seen
the house.
Pictures.
But well, it's just a stroke of luck. You know how it is. You move from one opportunity to the next, and I got this opportunity.
Oh, yes. These things just happen. They just fall into your lap without any involvement at all on your part, right?
All right, this is more grasping keys, it sounds like. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's that sort of like lean in conspiratorial whisper over our drinks on the bar. Come on, Jimmy. Let's be straight. You can tell me what really happened.
All right. Roll plus darkness.
Oh, my two served me well before, so obviously that'll happen again. So
Yeah.
I'll spend another 2.
This is where the push and pull. Do you want to spend your tokens? Do you want to risk it all? Let's do this. Wow!
Wow! The same roll, even.
Exact same roll. That's amazing. That's actually amazing. All right, so 8 to 10, you uncover a key of the apocalypse. The keeper of the doors will tell you what it is. So what is it like about? Because obviously you have a significant connection. He likes you. What is it about you think that he kind of genuinely appreciates enough to tell you this? Because clearly he doesn't want to say anything to give away the game.
I think he's not entirely stupid. I think there's some part of him that's worried by something that's going on here. And with the friendly face of Angelica on one side and the very cold face of Doyen on the other side, I think he gets a little flustered and shares more than he really means to, because he's worried.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Considering the last time you met, you saved him from something quite dodgy, probably, I don't know, killer books or something like that. I think, yeah. He sees like two of you, and he's like, "Let me get the two of you a drink." And sees there's no bartender. It's like, I won't mind if I help myself. They put up my tab. What? You drink anything, tall person? Looks at Doyen. What do you take?
Water is fine. I'm sure you don't have what I want.
I'm very sure of that. I'm quite sure. Jelly, same old?
Scotch, obviously.
Of course.
Jelly.
Yeah, so I think he gives you water and the scotch, and he's taking the time to make his own cocktail, because he's basically killing time at this point, and he kind of just gestures the two of you to like lean down. You didn't hear it from me, even though you're hearing this from me, but when I say opportunities just came to me, this one literally did. I wasn't doing well after the whole book thing went down in. Well, I think they were flames. They were kind of slimy, but they looked like flames. But so I didn't have much. I mean, I still have my connections. I'm well. I know they know I can do things. So I came home one night after I just pawned off a couple of my nice watches. You remember those watches, Jelly? They're quite nice. She was waiting for me in the office. Big, tall, robot nun. And she said that, so she said I was a very well-connected man, and I was like, "You're very right. I'm a well-connected man, but you're a weird, spooky nun. What are you doing here?" And she said her name was Sister Midnight. She said I should look her up, so I did. Smartphones, they're very smart, so I did that right there. And she said that she wanted to perform. And I was like, Sister Midnight, disappeared years ago. What makes you think she's the same one? And she said she'll prove it. I think when Jimmy is saying this, he's sweating quite a bit. He has this far away look. And he says, and she performed. And it was after her performance, I knew that well. And when he's saying this, he has this kind of like weird trance-like vibe coming to him when he's saying this. It was the most beautiful goddamn thing I've ever seen and heard, and so I knew I had to share it to a lot of people. And she said, "When's the nearest gig I can get her?" And I said, "Well, I got some hookups in this place called Hysteria." I just said the name, and she was like, "Good. This is where she wanted to perform." As far as I'm concerned, I'm just resurrecting an old cult act. And she'll do a performance, and we'll make some more performances. It'll be grand,
Just waiting in your office?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few, PIs, loan sharks, all sorts. They cost me a fortune in repairing and replacing locks. Yeah, but
yes, dearie, I'm sure your life is incredibly noir. But the way that the supernatural and the explosive keep finding you is, well, I would find it a little upsetting if I were you.
Are you kidding me? It's like a spice you sprinkle on some rice. You know, it makes the meal tastier. Like I mean, I've dealt with a few loan sharks, but a couple of werewolf loan sharks, that would make things at least a bit more interesting. The trance is kind of gone. His bravado is back.
I'm sure this will really just set fire to your career and send you blowing up across the entertainment industry.
He tries to look at Doyen to like get a shared laugh. Jelly, you're a funny one. You don't know how funny, how quite funny you got there, friend. Or no, you're not a friend. Thought you're spooky, tall person. There you go.
And Angelica will down the rest of her drink and sort of slam it down onto the bar as she daintily stands up from the stool and pats Jimmy on the shoulder. Well, what can I say? But we're really looking forward to seeing the show tonight. Good luck with everything.
It's gonna be swell. Are you staying to see the show? You got them passes. You might as well, right?
Oh, of course. We'll be here till the very end.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear. Have some friends with it around, and I think he'll go back to his cocktail and his phone. Cool. I think we'll cut away from there. That's okay to Geth. That's okay with unless there's anything else. Okay, cool. I'll just take a drink. That voice took a lot. Okay, so Geth, what's the plan?
Yeah, so I think Geth is going to put his put his earbuds in, flicks through on his phone, and cues up the song that Sister Midnight was playing, at least in folklore when this place burnt down, and starts listening to it. And I think we kind of see them sort of going. Well, they've got dark glasses on, so it's difficult to tell what they're doing with their eyes. But the tattoos on them start to kind of dance with flames, and they start. I'm almost thinking like the famous dancing scene from Billy Elliot. That's sort of like just dancing around the room to the music, and I would like, if I may, to take a couple of tokens for what's my key? Where has it gone? Yes, for giving into my power and letting it erase my will, as I think Geth lets the power of the flames inside of them take control to try and forge a connection with the fire that took place here, 20 years ago.
Okay. I think to forge a connection, I think you need to be the monster first. Just like try and
Sure.
connect.
Yeah, sure thing.
Be the monster is when you do something only a monstrous nature can accomplish.
Yeah, that sounds good. That is a 7.
Did you put any darkness tokens into this?
I don't have any yet, so.
Okay. Yeah. So you'll get tokens after this. So 7 is below the threshold. It's a miss. So mark XP. I think. Okay. On a 7 minus, the darkness within you will take what it demands. The keeper of the doors will say what happens next. So I think, yeah, you, the dark, you connect to the memory of the fire. But the way connection works is that it can be two-way. So I think, let's see, what does darkness demand of you? I think when the fire connects to you, you can tell it feels wrong. Like, all right, your fire is from another place, but this just feels like anathema to you, and it scorches through like your bloodstream. It just, the memory of it is so much. Mark a condition. First and foremost, conditions are at the top near your dossier photo. Conditions are kind of like the main way you take harm. Nobody can die in Apocalypse Keys. You just get sad. So when you mark all 4 conditions, you enter your breaking point, which is kind of like, what if a moment of truth from masks is like your dark? It's like mashing together a moment of truth and your darkest self. So it's like it's a bad thing, but you have control of the bad thing. So
I think I'm going to mark vicious.
Okay. Okay. I think gosh. In your mind, Geth, who is the most powerful harbinger of the apocalypse in this area, do you think?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think...
Not interested in destroying everything around you at the moment. Or, no, not yet. Who do you think?
I mean, honestly, at the moment, I think from my perspective, though we've not yet encountered them, I think it probably is Sister Midnight.
So I think the fire is so much, the memory of the fire, that it kind of makes you kneel down. And I think the way this is kind of framed, I'm imagining like it's like the world around you looks like soft. It's like a faded kind of like memory, and I think you see this like person walking like in front of you. In the outside, people will just see Geth kneeling in the club, but from your perspective, the tall, billowing visage of Sister Midnight kind of like kneels down and takes your chin, tilts your head up, and you can see like in their like chromatic like robotic skin, they smile at you, and asks, what do you truly wish for, my little river of fire? What is it that you want?
I want to overflow my banks, go where I wish, choose my own direction.
I think they smile. It's a pleasant kind of like, maternal sort of, I see what you want, kind of like, I see what you want, my son, kind of like smile. And they kind of like pat you slowly, or stroke you slowly in the cheek, and you can see like it's leaving a scar against the cheek. It's like a burn mark. And they say, well, I was brought to this place to seek and fulfill the dreams of others. If you wish for me to aid you in your desires, my sweet, just think of me and imagine. So here's what I'm giving you, Geth. You can always add a +1 to any roll before and after you make a roll. But every time you do so, I get to make a move. not against you, but against someone else.
Cool. I like it.
Okay. So I think, yeah, the vision fades and your memory of the fire retreats from you, and you're just back in the club now. But you have this like burn mark against your cheek now.
Cool.
Okay. We're at the top of the hour. Let's take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll race to like we'll see what conclusion we got. We've got 2 keys. You're like -2 to unlocking Doom's door. It's all grand. And then yeah, let's take 5 and come back. BRP. Okay, so after some spooky encounters, let's say like the afternoon is progressing tonight. Maybe like as Geth is having his encounter, like day slowly turning into night. I think Operative Harper is gonna like anyone can see like she is like running around, not running around, but like pacing very angrily around the club, looking quite harried. Let's see, who'd she spot first? I mean, I'm down for whoever wants to like run into her first. Maybe Doyen, if that's okay. Yeah. I think she sees. What are you doing when she sees you? And it could be outside the mural if you want to, but
I think he's slipped back out to head to the mural. Got tired of Angelica's evil looks when he just occasionally said, "Jelly."
Is there anything you want to do with this mural before Harper finds you?
I think he's trying to figure out how to make his phone take pictures.
That's fair.
He's got a few pictures of his forefinger, his thumb, some of the mural. Out of focus.
I think like Operative Harper will bound out of the alley and she sees you and it's like, why did I know you'd be here? What are you doing?
You took this.
Sorry. I never understand you. What do you mean?
Someone took this. This was my world.
Oh, this? She points at the mural.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but to me, you're just the latest new flavor in Division. When were you? When were you released? A month ago? A week ago? Doesn't matter. Have you done anything useful so far today?
I'll go with no.
Okay. Why does this picture matter to you? You say it's yours?
He gestures.
Oh my god.
You see the one suspended, that is my docent. They were contemplating their own existence through pain.
And
why are you in such a hurry?
Because we have a job to do. Because this is what we're meant to do. We're meant to hold back the apocalypse. And this is an apocalypse waiting to happen. I don't know if you appreciate that.
Jelly has obtained some information. I'm sure she will be useful for you.
She's always useful. What are you going to do?
I think I'm going to kill Sister Midnight.
Not until I get my answers.
Thought you wanted to stop the apocalypse. That doesn't need answers.
It's part and parcel. Besides, I've been trying to find Sister Midnight ever since we got here, and that I don't know what they have her in that club, but I can't seem to find her. I've looked every room. You don't get to kill her until I say so.
Why is that? Why are you in charge?
I think there's a move here being triggered. I think even though she is like a division agent, technically senior to you because you've only been out recently, but you don't care about that, do you?
Not exactly, no.
Not exactly, no. Okay, cool. So I think unless there's like a move of yours that's being triggered here, this is gonna be.
I think I'm going to let how truly alien I am slip.
What does that look like?
The guise that I wear covers my eyes, and she sees the third part of my look, eyes that contain a galaxy. And I say, Child, you do not understand what is power. Please, leave me to this last remnant of my memory.
I think Operative Harper will react accordingly. She will provide okay. Doing so will provide a fleeting opportunity before they come to their senses. You can choose to mark doom to allow more of your true nature to reveal itself, causing them to flee and avoid you at all costs in the future.
That sounds fun. Let's do that.
Okay. I think the voice is good enough. I don't know if you want to do anything more. Yeah, I think like her eyes kind of just widen, and she tries to say this with some bravado, but you can tell she's quite afraid. She'll say, "We should have left you in your prison." Who? And they're gonna go before you can before you can say anything else. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to do with this mural? Or
I think I finally get a picture of it. Then I nod and start walking back to the club to try to find where Night Eye might be.
okay. I was gonna segue to Night Eye. What are you up to after you talk to those super fans?
Yeah, after that strange encounter, first a mechanical question. I just can't choose that one of these conditions is triggered. Well, not conditions, but what is it called? Gaining darkness. So when they told me of my former love or of this daughter of light or whatever, can I just say, hey, I felt unloved, and so
Yeah,
I get
absolutely.
this? And
Yes, absolutely.
I can also say 2, 3, or 4, or
Yes, yeah, 2, 3, or 4.
okay, I think I'll take 2 then.
Okay.
Minor occurrence of feeling of being unloved. Well, I think after that encounter, I just get back into the club, and the first of my team I see, I just grab them at the shoulders and say, she's here. She's here for me. We need to find her now.
I guess since Doyen said he came to look for you, that might be. You just grab Doyen by the shoulders.
Sure.
Yes.
she's here. She's here for me. We have to find her. It's a plan, something that has something to do with my past. I'm sure of it. We have to stop her.
Agreed. Where is she?
Huh. Backstage? Does anybody else know? Where's Geth? Where's Angelica?
Where's Angelica?
I haven't seen Jelly in a while. We should find her.
Jelly? Yeah, okay. Lead the way.
Okay. Jelly, Angelica, where are you?
You start with me. I think Angelica is at a table, sort of on the edge of the dance floor, like overlooking the stage, and they're in the sort of middle of the club. And she's like cleared the tea light and the various like things that are on the table. She's put them on other tables next to her, and she's pulled out of her purse a couple of black colored candles, some powders and chalk that she's drawn symbols on the table with. And I think since this is the site of the original club, the original Sister Midnight concert, then this is definitely a place that Death has reached into the heart of. So I have Death walked here as a move when you seek to reconstruct events or learn something valuable in an area.
Hell yeah. Roll plus darkness.
I don't think I'm hitting any of my triggers here, so I think it's just the one darkness I have left. So I'm sure this will be great.
Pretty grand. You've been rolling quite well. Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
So 13.
Okay, so on an 11 plus, you're going to choose from one above the list, the one from the above list, and one from the below list. Let's start with the above. Death shows you exactly what happened here. Well, actually, no. Just choose one from the above, and Death will show you that.
So let's see. Well, what I'm looking into is the climactic moment, the concert. Like what was Sister Midnight doing? How did it all blow up? And then, yeah. Tell me the basics, and then I'll see what the add-on I want to add is.
Okay. All right. Here's kind of like because you kind of pushed yourself a bit too far. I think you see the world around you kind of like reconstruct quite a bit, but it's hazy. You can see that it was kind of a dead night. Sister Midnight, there's a stage you can see that Sister Midnight is on, and you can see that even though they got the same nun get up, it's clearly a get up. Like the robotic stuff is painted on, and for one thing, they've got a band with them. She's singing, and there's like only like maybe like 10 people listening. There's like a few folks and tables where you are. And I think you, and it's honestly cringy in how empty it is. But you can see that this person who is Sister Midnight is like singing her heart out. Can't deny the passion. And I think the image flickers. It gets distorted a bit. And you can feel there's a distortion coming from a person or from some place. It's this bright kind of like light distorting the entire image. This light is like it's in the shape of a person who is like has just walked into the club. And I think like as she walks closer to her sister Midnight says, it gets blurrier and blurrier. It's like hard to make out what's happening. You can tell it's a person shaped like light. And they just walk up to Sister Midnight, and then flash, everything kind of like explodes. And I think, so pick one from above and pick one from below.
So she's there, her hand like over the symbol she's drawn. Her eyes have rolled back in her head until they're white, and she's muttering. And as she focuses on this vision, and she brings her other hand up with a knife in it, cuts across her palm and squeezes so that blood drips down onto the symbols. They begin to glow green as her eyes flash into color and begin to glow. And that person, that being that walked up to Sister Midnight, she focuses all of her effort. What glimpse beyond these events can you show me? She wants to break through his concealment.
God, Zoom is a lot. Sorry, I was looking at the page and then looked back, like, whoa, what's happening here? Okay, I want to
I felt challenged by the voice.
See, I can't even do that. I just have this emoji pillow. It's a prop. Okay, I think you pierce through the light, and okay, I gotta ask, Night Eye, what does the love who betrayed you look like? Your shining light, opposite of sunlight and purity, I guess.
The shape of light is sounding cool. When I'm kind of stone and opaque, sometimes grayish, sometimes misty. I think she's clear and sharp, and her skin is very smooth and like porcelain. But shaped of light, I think that she is shining in all directions, and yeah.
Okay, I think then when you try to see this person of light, you can't cut away through the light because they are light. they are shaped like light. And the porcelain skin of theirs is like containing that light. It's a lot like your friend Nighty, but the opposite. I think you can definitely tell that they're related.
Gotcha.
But I think where Nighty has like a hole where the heart is, you pierce through the light and you see that there's like this dark shape in the place where her heart would be. That's what you see when you cut through the light.
And I think as I push through that power and push too far, I think death slips in and shows me what I do not wish to see. And I will mark doom with that.
I think abruptly the scene around you changes and you are back home in where you grew up with your coven, and you see the people who death took away from you living their lives in this little village. And you hear death say, "You could have had this, you know."
And I think it takes her effort, but as she tears her eyes away from the vision, the symbols on the table explode in a brighter flash of light. All the powders and shapes go spreading everywhere, and like still seated in her chair, she goes sliding back like 3 or 4 feet as the vision breaks. Panting, she comes back to herself.
And there's Doyen and Nighty, who's come to find you.
What is it?
Angelica, what do you see?
See, I saw the first performance. Saw the night the first club burned down. It wasn't Sister Midnight. Well, it was. I suppose it was Sister Midnight somehow, but that's not what caused it. It was someone, a force, a presence, a being made out of pure
Let me
light.
guess.
She reaches up to like stroke the side of Night Eye's face. She looks sort of confused. She says, "You. She was a piece of you."
Mm-hmm. She has my heart. She will be here tonight. This is gonna get messy.
I don't know what this Sister Midnight is, what danger or powers they might have, but that woman, she's the force behind this. She holds your heart and so much more.
I would say like this could be a moment to grasp for keys. As you're kind of like putting this together. It's like you sounds like you got a lot of info. We can crystallize it into a key.
Mm-hmm.
If folks are
Do
down.
I roll or will you?
If you want to, you can. But I think as we're sort of on it and looking into it, her hand on the side of your face will go from stroking to suddenly you feel her nails like pressing into your skin as she says, "This being, this woman, this thing, she's danger for you. She's nothing but death and pain. You must ignore your feelings and do what needs to be done." Yes? I'm going to take 4 darkness as I ask you to ignore your heart.
Is you?
Nodding.
Can I just ask? Is this you sincerely trying to connect to someone by telling them to ignore their heart? Because there's a move for that.
Sure.
Yeah, this is reaching out for the light. This is kind of like the way you reach out to other people. Say how you try to sincerely connect to someone by, I guess, ignoring their ex.
But there's also this like intimacy between her and Night Eye of she's right up, she's staring in his eyes. There's a somewhere between caress and pain on his face there. That's a mark 2.
Okay. Hey, good thing you did. Good thing you did that. So, on an 8 to 10, you both find the light in the dark. How do both of you gain hope? And each of you is going to choose one from this list, which is quite neat.
Well, if I like setting up Night Eye for this, so I think this reaches deep enough inside you, and in this weird emotional mix of thinking about this, the woman of light, I will form a bond with you and then burn it to give you advantage on grasping keys.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Cool. Nara, you also get to choose one from that list because it's neat.
You said fun stuff happens when I get over 5 tokens of darkness.
Yes, but since you're gonna roll grasping keys after this, since Angelica gave you that +1, you're not gonna trigger the corrupt the soul move. I know. Yeah, that's more of a long-term thing, honestly. We'll
Okay.
see. Who knows? We've got 30 minutes, or at least 25. A lot of stuff can happen.
Clear
Unless you...
one.
Okay, go ahead.
Unless, yeah, unless what?
Yeah, I roll grasping keys to put all this information together into a key. Are you... I guess, yeah, you can take 3 darkness tokens, but if you don't spend any of them, you will trigger that corrupt soul move then.
Ah, well, I just take them and we'll see.
Okay.
You've got a ±1 from me as you need it on your roll.
Yes, that's what Angelica gave you.
So you gave me what, and I'm rolling 2d6.
Yeah, you're rolling 2d6, and if you want to add or subtract 1 from your result, that's what I gave you.
Okay. And for that roll, I also can.
Yes. You can spend darkness tokens for this roll as well.
Yes. So I'm going to spend 2 of them.
Okay.
All those tabs. Where am I? Yeah. So I still got 3, and the dice roller is here. So, I got a 10 plus 2. That's 12.
Yeah. So even with Angelica's help, it wouldn't help. Okay. On an 11 plus, you can cover a key, but there's a significant complication, cost, or fallout. The keeper of doors will tell you what it is. So with the information that Angelica is giving me, it's calling you Jelly now. Sorry.
Actually, I already had some other bonds with Night Eye. Could I? Because it says you can use multiple bonds.
Ooh, yeah. I think, yeah. You can. Actually, let me see if you can burn bonds with another person.
I know you can on that Reach for the Light, but maybe not on other ones. But you have one with me, Night Eye, so you can burn that for another -1 to get you to 10.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a complication.
Okay, cool.
Okay, fair. Okay, yeah. So I think with kind of like that info, knowing that she was here, I think suddenly you can't help but feel that she's been here. Her presence, your great love has definitely been here. It has been all over the place. They're from the same realm, or they're from the same realm. Well, they're kind of from the opposite realm as you, but unlike you who was summoned here, she learned to walk amongst many realms. She walked, she's walked all over the place. She's walked past the Veil of Death. She's walked past the Doyen's world. She's walked past the rivers of hell. And she's kind of like collected all this energy, all these experiences within your heart. And she decided to collect one more experience, but it was one experience too many. It turns out, containers aren't finite. They can overflow. And I think what you feel, Night Eye, in this place is unmistakable energy that's not just hers, but yours, like remnants of it. She tried to collect the experience of being here, of being in a club, being in a nice, dancey sort of place. She tried to put it in your heart. It was one experience too many, and the heart was full to bursting, and it burst. And it coated this place with the energies that are basically like, energies from all over the place, including places the 4 of you have been. And that caused complications, let's say, for the poor act who was here, for poor Sister Midnight, who just happened to be here. Is that okay for a key?
Yeah, that's cool. My heart blew up that place. Sure.
Here is the complication. I think you being here, whatever's left of your heart, you feel the entire clubhouse creaking, all of you, wherever you are. It's like a big creaking sounds, and you hear Jimmy from somewhere in the bar, just exclaiming like, what, what the fuck is happening? And Veronica finds the three of you, because Doyen, you're still there. We'll get to Geth in a minute. Veronica comes up to the three of you and it's like, what the fuck's going on? And the clubhouse creaks again. And Night Eye, you can feel that whatever's left of your heart here is trying to come back to you. But you place burns down, you build down a building on it, can't help but take up elements of whatever it was built on.
I think we should evacuate. It's going to happen again in some kind of way, and a part of me was already here. Not so sure about Sister Midnight anymore. Angelica, Doyen, what do you say?
This place, it isn't a club. This isn't a concert. This is a trap. This is a ritual. This is bait.
And how do we break fate, Angelica?
Usually with blood and fire.
Huh. Speaking of fire, where's Geth?
Segway. Thanks, Mario. Where's Geth?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm just trying to think what will have been the next thing that Geth has actually done after their
If you want, I can have Operative Harper run into you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere in the. This is right before things start creaking. But yeah, Operative Harper is just gonna run into you. She looks quite flustered and out of it, for sure. And she just kind of like bumps into you. Can't you see where you're going? What have you been up to?
I've been trying to find out what was the cause of all of this. You were here, weren't you? What do you remember about it?
I don't know. I was a baby when it happened. They pulled me out of the ashes. I have questions myself. What?
You were untouched by the fire.
I guess I don't.
And this place was, as it is now, a nightclub.
What are you getting towards, Phlegaton? What are you trying to say?
I am saying that perhaps you were not spared by what happened here, but birthed by it.
Are you trying to grasp another key? You're at 3
Yeah,
keys.
I think so. Yeah,
You're
yeah,
at
that
3
sounds good.
keys. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Roll the plus
I'm going to
darkness.
spend 2 darkness on this. I think so. I've got 1 in the tank. 11.
11. Oh no, a complication. Who wants that in a role-playing game, especially in a story game? Who wants more of that? I mean, technically, you can burn a bond to bring it to a 10 if you want to.
I don't feel like any of the bonds I have are particularly relevant to this role anyway, so no, I'm happy.
Okay, cool. You uncover a key, but there's significant complication, cost, or fallout. The keeper of the doors will tell you what it is. Okay. I think when you say that, yeah, she was birthed by this place, I think she's already like really flustered. And she sees the burn mark on your cheek, and she's like, where did you get that? You didn't have that when we got in the limo. Where did you get that? Do you know about Sister Midnight? Do you know about me? Why do all you fucking monsters have to be so mysterious? Why don't you? And she's like getting really close to you, and you see her eyes. Suddenly, you notice the blue in her eyes. They're contacts, and you see that behind kind of like those contacts, her eyes are like pure white. And Mario's making a face.
I'm going to, I think I'm going to in fact lean. If I mean, if we'd still, I think I'm going to just put a hand under her chin and just lean in, and my tongue comes out, and I'm going to take one of the contact lenses out.
Wow. Ooh. Yeah, I think you can see like her eyes are like pure white when she takes the contact lens out, and she like when she does that, she kind of like freaks out and kind of like tries to shoot her eye, and I kind of realizes who she's talking to, and she's like, wait, what are you trying to say, Phlegethon? Do you know more than I do? I don't know anything, if that's what you want to know. That's why I'm here. I don't know what I am or who I am, only that I came from whatever the hell happened here.
No, I'm not sure what happened here. Partially, I was trying to determine if I'd burn this place down. But maybe we can find out together.
Where's the rest of the team?
Back in the main hall, I think.
Okay.
And I'll hand her a contact lens back.
Yeah, she looks away when she puts them back on. Unlike the rest of you, I'm not really comfortable being like this. I think I'm missing something.
Most of us are.
Cool. I should specify what the key is. The key is Operative Harper. It was there we go. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks very much for updating those keys, or whoever's been updating them.
Sure.
Yeah. Jamie's much better at this than I am in terms of updating keys. Okay, so got 4 keys, which means if you want to roll Unlocking Doom's Door, which is kind of like triggering Endgame. It's a bit different from Brindlewood Bay, from what I heard. I've not played Brindlewood Bay, in that if you miss, you gotta roll again. But here it's just if you miss out a complication, and then we roll into some kind of end game. But yeah, I mean, you can still keep looking for keys if you want to roll more than a 0, because you can't add darkness tokens to Unlocking Doom's Door. if you want to search for more. But if not, I'm conscious of time.
Yeah, I think time-wise, we're probably sort of at the point. Does anybody have a theory or beginning of a theory of how these keys connect together? What's going on?
I will say that, yeah, the when any monster is ready to declare the truth, the apocalypse's plans here, say what it is. It's a collaborative thing most of the time when people do it. I've certainly I've had an idea, then folks build on that idea, and then we roll to see if it's correct. Yeah, who has an idea of how these keys connect?
I've definitely gotten the feeling that at least here tonight is like a setup. But do we have a name for the Woman of Light? Sorry, did we give her a name?
No, it's just Night Eye's love who betrayed her. It was just Woman of Light, sure.
Yeah, I feel like this was definitely set up by her. Probably to draw Night Eye back in, but I don't know why exactly.
Maybe it's also, sorry.
Go ahead, David.
I was going to say, I was wondering, if maybe Agent Harper is in essence the child created by the melding of the Lady of Light and Night Eye's essence, and that's also part of why specifically she's trying to draw Agent Harper back here.
I thought maybe this whole thing which went down was some reincarnation move, and she forgot parts of herself or forgot herself, and she was reborn as Daughter of Light again after this whole incident, and she doesn't remember that she's here, but it's bound to repeat itself, and she is the doom that's coming, but she doesn't know.
Like she's been sleeping inside Agent Harper, believed that she was Agent Harper.
Yes.
I like that. Maybe some flashback scenes of Harper setting all this up, getting the concert rolling sort of thing.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
I like that.
She's got to finish what she started and, get it right this time.
Yeah. So who wants to roll? This is going to be a flat roll. You cannot use bonds. Because you don't roll darkness. You roll plus the number of keys found minus the mystery's complexity. So 4 minus 4.
Some of us didn't roll at all until now.
I think Mario, since you're kind of involved, your heart's a big part of this.
You think?
Yeah, everyone's rolled. I think it's Doyen, you haven't rolled, but you did make a move to make your voice all weird and creepy.
I rolled the first roll, guys. Look down there. Very first one. Call me the last.
So, should I roll? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
Seven. Plus minus what?
No, plus nothing. This is okay. So on a 7 minus, the monsters have missed something vital, and the keeper of the door reacts. Every monster takes 1 point of doom. The club creaks even harder. You say you're on the main hall, and I think this weird kind of filter, again, the same filter that Geth experienced when they had their moment, and outstrides to the stage Sister Midnight. I think Harper is with you as well, but outstrides Sister Midnight. And again, it's all feels weird and nauseating and gauzy and whatnot. But you can tell Angelica that this Sister Midnight looks like She looks a lot like the artist you saw, but perfected, as if like the weird robotic skin looks perfect, the lips are perfect. The She looks like the perfected version of it. Um,
Oh
and
no, I don't think she's just another pawn.
well, my dear other half, your little Harper, was a pawn, but but well, consciously or not. After all, she did, in her own way, tried to warn you, my little Night Eye, um, through some fans, but I have walked through so many worlds, so many places, and I've seen when worlds bleed into each other, when worlds collide with each other, and it only leaves you broken. It only leaves you lost. Do all of you truly belong here? I can bring you to where you need to be.
I don't want to talk to her. I want to command the shadows around us to pin her.
Okay, all right. I think what I'm going to say one more thing. I think that's what will get you to like. This is what triggers it. I think she says, For this to happen, I just need the world. Then the shadows come.
Sick.
Okay, unleash the dark. That's a basic move. When you unleash the dark within you to enforce your will on someone physically, socially, or emotionally.
Yeah, roll plus darkness. I still got 3, and I will use all of them.
Imagine roll snake eyes.
Let's roll up. Ah, 5
Oh, you
plus
needed
3
it.
is
Yeah.
8. Yes, I did.
Yeah. You wield the darkness with precision. Choose to.
Get past their defenses and inflict a condition and gain the upper hand for now.
Okay. Okay. I think we're kind of close to time. We have 7 minutes. The darkness twirls around, and they kind of like they catch her almost exactly like that mural you have, Doyen. Kind of hold her up, except she looks so serene. Meanwhile, Operative Harper is like crying. She got her head in her hands. It's just there's like a side splitting headache coming to her, and she's almost kind of like staggering towards where Sister Midnight is. And I think she because I gotta move here, or at least like one last thing she'll like try to like spring. I think she sings, and I want to ask each of you, when you hear this song, what is it that each of your characters sees as home? Let's start with the last.
The question is, what when she sings, what does
Your character
Doyen
sees as
see
home.
as home?
Yes.
As home. As
Yes.
home. Okay. Oh, sorry. Has a needy dog, so let me take
I mean, that's a good home.
The eternal cell from which he was sprung by the division. Yeah.
God. That's sad. I just want to say that's sad. Angelica, what do you see as home?
I think she sees a place she hasn't thought about in a long time. An old house in the Scottish Highlands. A man and a young boy inside, tending to the fireplace. She's on the outside looking in for the last time. She turns and runs off into the night, following the call of magic and death that's been singing in her head for years, for most of her life. That was the last time she saw that place.
Phlegethon.
Yeah, I think for a moment there is an image of just like a, a fairly normal-looking small suburban house somewhere, but it's very, very quickly. It's almost that like when setting fire to a photograph in a film thing, flames creep up around the side, and there's just like it just sort of fades into this scene of flames and a long magma flow.
I mean, it's a sick ass home. And Night Eye.
A room in the basement, the bookshelf and a bed, but it's actually a cell of the division where they keep dangerous inmates. And I'm surrounded by shadows, of course, but there's a small window and some light is falling in and glistening on the floor.
And I think we're going to end on a choice for all four of you. When Sister Midnight sings, you can tell that she's offering her hand and she says she can give you your home. She's walked across so many places, so many things when she had Night Eye's heart. But when that heart burst, the part of her that keeps walking and keeps wanting to walk became Sister Midnight. The part of her that checked that became Operative Harper. But when she sings and she hears the song, she asks, she tells you that she can give you the home that you want because she's walked so much. You just have to take her hand. We're gonna go left, right, in the card keeper, and I'm gonna ask, do you take her hand? So Night Eye, do you?
Take the hand would mean yes, I go with her, so no.
Yes, do you?
No, I don't think Geth does either.
Angelica?
Death has no respect for the boundaries of space and time. He would still come for me no matter when I was, no matter where.
That's fair. And Doyen?
You offer me nothing I cannot take if I do not want it.
I think the singing becomes harsher and it becomes like a screeching. I think you're all pulled back into the club, and I'm gonna end on like an opening like a closing splash of the four of you rejecting this harbinger of the apocalypse. Not necessarily standing together, but are standing together as you face Sister Midnight on her stage, rejected but still mighty. If we had 20 minutes, we'd play out that fight, but sadly we are out of time. So yeah, that was Apocalypse Keys. hope you enjoyed that taste. But to anyone who was watching or listening to this video, thank you all very much. If you want to check out the game or the Gauntlet, there'll be links down below in the description. These players were wonderful. I love these characters. Sad we only had them for one session, but it's a one shot. Who knows? I always say if I run games multiple times, you get a previous character and something I've run, you can always bring them back. If we ever play again in this time slot, who knows? But yeah, hope folks had fun watching, listening, and playing yourselves. We'll do like a quick debrief for sure once I stop this recording. So I'll do that right now. Anyone who's watching, listening, thank you all very much. Bye YouTube /podcasts. Bye bye.